Okay. Thank you. Now, I want you to be very specific about what you think is the most pressing problem, or maybe a second problem, that must be addressed in the next Congress, and what would you do about it? And we'll start with Mr. Cowan, and you get all of a minute to tell us all this.
Okay, a whole minute.
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. Jobs, jobs, jobs. You know, we need family wage jobs now. And we have infrastructure falling apart. We need to get people working. And that really is the major component of that. And when you talk about jobs, you're talking about education. I'm a long-term thinker. I like to think long-term. And we need to design education systems that are approaching long-term solutions. And so there's a component between jobs and education. But we got to be looking after the future. And that's the most important thing right now. We have to start now.
Okay. Mr. Moody?
I would definitely agree that jobs is the #1 priority. However, I don't believe that government plays that strong a role in creating jobs. I do believe that infrastructure is one responsibility of the government. But again, we can keep those monies at home. We don't need to send them to the federal government, have the federal government hand that money over to Wall Street, the banking systems, borrow that money from China, and send it back up to us to tell us what to do with it up here. What we need to do, again, is reduce the size of the federal government. That'll provide more money in the hands of consumers, more money in the hands of local business owners, and it also allow for more control on behalf of local and state governments. And I think we'll have a chance to kind of rebuild our economy from the ground up if we can cut out federal involvement in our lives and in our local and state government.
Okay. So just as a little bit of a follow-up to this, 30 seconds, and following on what you're saying, what should or could, if anything, the federal government do to stimulate the economy? Mr. Moody, we're going to do this in a 30-second segment.
Okay, yeah. Again, it's just in that same vein that I just touched on. I believe specifically we can cut all kinds of federal departments, obviously not overnight, but over the period of a decade. And this is going to be the responsibility of my generation to begin working on these things. And so multiple departments federally, again, will send that money back into the hands of consumers and business owners and local governments. And again, it really will prove the power of free markets and people to make decisions on where to send their money.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Cowan?
Well, I can give you two very specific things we need to do now. First of all, right now we give tax breaks to companies that export jobs. That has to stop. The second thing we need to do is encourage domestic companies to have domestic workers. I would recommend lowering the corporate tax rate by half to corporations that hire only domestic workers. And it's almost a flip. Right now we're incentivizing companies to export workers. We need to incentive companies to have workers here in this country.
Okay, thank you.